Let's start things off with the entire intriguing main roster debut and story for Dexter Lumis. Dexter was one of the 10 NXT superstars that were released in April 2022. But like we learned with Dakota Kai's and Karrion Kross's return, Triple H has been reaching out to recently released superstars that he believes deserves a second chance and bringing them back to the company. Dexter becomes the fourth recently released superstar that Triple H has brought back in a matter of weeks. And instead of just randomly appearing or having a plain debut match on Raw, Triple H introduced Dexter in a very suspenseful, intriguing, and thrilling way that left fans talking and trying to put all the pieces together. So what do we mean by that? Well, there were combining storylines throughout several backstage segments to tell Dexter's story. You had your main storyline front and center of the camera, but there was also this mysterious subplot that was going on in the background, and it caught everyone's eye right away. It all started during a backstage interview with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was addressing his attack on Ezekiel and hinting at the idea of his prizefighter era and persona making a return. But while Kevin Owens was talking, very subtly in the background of the shot, we see that Nikki and Doudrop were involved in some type of car accident in the parking lot. The commentators didn't address it, the camera angle never fully focused in on it, but it was just something going on in the background. And this little sub-storyline continued throughout the night in the background of the main stories. In another backstage segment, we saw the car being towed away with an ambulance parked in the lot. Then when Control confronted Alexa and Asuka backstage, we saw a bunch of security guards and police officials run right by the women, but we didn't see who they were chasing after. And that's where the backstage story ended at, just with that cliffhanger of this big foot chase that was going on between the police and the individual that they were after. This nice little subtle background story was a big hit with the fans. It caught the interest of the fans online and basically turned us all into detectives who were trying to crack this case behind the backstage chaos. And before we got the actual payoff, there was some great fan theories going around about the car accident. Some fans suggested that maybe it was the scene from what Rhea Ripley did to Dominic. Rhea showed up with a bloody and beaten Dominic in her arms, but the actual attack on Dominic was done off screen, so we don't know what she did to Dominic. So that's why fans wondered if Rhea had maybe rammed her car into Dominic while he was leaving the arena. That obviously didn't turn out to be true, but it was one of the really good ideas that was being thrown around. The other idea fans had was if Sasha Banks and Naomi were behind the car accident. With Sasha and Naomi rumored to be back with WWE, fans wondered if Sasha and Naomi tried to viciously take out Nikki and Doudrop in the parking lot in order to take their spot in the women's tag team titles tournament. But turns out that wasn't the case either. So, what was the payoff to this subplot that was going on all night long backstage? The payoff came in the closing moments of Raw when the police were able to finally detain Dexter at ringside and drag him out of the arena. And again, it was all done very subtly. The camera wasn't right in Dexter's face as he was getting dragged away or anything like that, which would have made it beyond obvious that it was a part of the show. The way they presented it would make the casual fan wonder if it was actually part of the show or not. That was the beauty behind Dexter's full debut from start to finish, full of mystery and a lot of unanswered questions. So after seeing the reveal of Dexter at the end of Raw, it's now safe to assume that he was the individual behind the backstage chaos. The car accident was most likely Dexter being behind the wheel to ram and rush his way into the arena. But in the process of that, he crashed into Nikki and Doudrop. Nikki and Doudrop appeared to be healthy and fine after the crash, so the ambulance was again most likely for Dexter. It appears that he could have been inside the ambulance, but there was some kind of struggle, and he was able to break free and run away from the ambulance and the police, which led to the police finally stopping Dexter seconds before he was going to jump the barricade and do who knows what to AJ Styles. So it's also great storytelling by Triple H because he followed one of the most important rules about storytelling, and that's show, don't tell. He followed that concept all night long with Dexter. He showed us the car crash, the ambulance, the foot chase, but at no time did the show actually explain and tell us what was happening. And as a result of using the show don't tell method, you created suspense and intrigue. And that's what they nailed here with Dexter's arrival. They brought him out onto the show in a way that intrigues everyone. If you're a Dexter fan and familiar with his work, then you're excited to have him back. And even if you've never seen Dexter before and have no clue who he is, you're now instantly pulled in because you want to know who he is and what he's up to all night long. It seems like something else Triple H has brought back to WWE television is cliffhanger endings. He's making you leave the show with a reason to come back the following week. That seems to be a big reoccurring theme in the way Triple H books the shows. He did it with Seth's attack on Riddle right before SummerSlam, Edge's spear on Dominic, Karrion Kross's return on SmackDown, and now Dexter's main roster arrival. What do all these main event segments have in common? They all make you wonder what would happen next and give you a reason to come back and find out. So if Triple H's storytelling can stay at that level and he continues to provide suspense and cliffhangers, every show is going to be a lot of fun to break down and talk about. Now we'll have to see what exactly it is that Dexter is after. Is he strictly coming after AJ Styles? Or is he planning something much bigger than that? That's what we'll have to wait on. Speaking of fans being detectives and watching out for little hints, that brings us to Finn Balor's Raw promo. In his promo, Finn was directly addressing his ongoing feud and issues with Edge. But in the promo, something Finn took some time to focus on was the idea of fear versus danger, and made some lines about how fear isn't real, and it's just part of our imagination. The reason why these lines caught the attention of a lot of fans is because if you go back and check out some of the words exchanged between Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor from their 2019 SummerSlam program, the idea of fear versus danger was a constant theme of that storyline. Both Finn and Bray said similar lines during that time about fear and danger, so some fans think that it might just be a coincidence and a bit of a reach. But other fans wonder if it's a very subtle hint towards the idea of a Bray Wyatt return. Like we talked about, Triple H's preferred method is to tease everything subtly. So what if it was done on purpose as a Bray Wyatt reference? There's this big rumor going around that Bray Wyatt is back with WWE, but a lot of individuals spreading that narrative aren't exactly your biggest, most reliable, and trusted sources. So it's hard to trust them, but it is a rumor that's going around. Is it true? No one knows. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.